Thank you, Bob, for introducing me. My name is John Feigenbaum. I'm the publisher at CDN Publishing. We publish the Greysheet family of publications, so the Greysheet weekly. Then we have the monthly supplement, the quarterly 1, 2, 3, the blue sheet, the green sheet, which covers currency, and then we also have recently introduced something called the gold sheet, which covers modern Chinese market. So I came here to the show. I was invited to come and speak. It's our first time that we've actually attended a show to make a presentation, and really just to discuss how we arrive at pricing, and maybe I thought we could learn from each other what concerns collectors or dealers have about how we arrive at pricing and how we can better articulate that to the audience. Because the key for myself and Patrick at CDN Publishing is to help the market, the coin market. It doesn't mean we want to get the pricing absolutely correct so that when you buy and sell coins, when you collect, you're protected the best you can be protected. So you'll be more comfortable investing in coins, trading coins, buying and selling. When I see other collectibles that have an inefficient pricing scheme, whether we're talking about collectible stamps or art, fine art, any antiques, when I see a lack of pricing, I see a marketplace that's very inefficient and people are nervous about it putting their money into it. And what we try to do with the rare coin market is eliminate that uncertainty. And it's extremely difficult because the rare coin market couldn't be more complicated, to be honest with you. For a market that looks clean and efficient thanks to certification and grading, has incredible amount of nuances, and we spend our entire time trying to work those things out and present a single or price or two for a coin, which is really almost impossible. However, that's our goal. So that's what we're here to do. I can give you a quick history of CDN Publishing. CDN Publishing was founded in 1963. It's called the National Coin Brokers Bulletin, and it was originally invented by a small group of dealers in California who wanted to gather information that was coming across something called a teletype back in those days, and they created a little newsletter to disseminate this information to their audience and things like that. Originally it covered Morgans, Walkers, and Rolls, because Rolls back in the 60s was the hot market at the time. It's hard to believe today, but that was an incredibly hot market. And so eventually in 1976, CDN grew from the weekly Greysheet. They added the monthly supplement, which includes a lot of detail on series that don't need to be covered weekly, like Barber series, 3-cent nickels, 2-cent pieces, Indian pennies, things like that. The blue sheet was founded in 1989 to represent the sight unseen market. The emergence of third-party grading in 1986. We had a marketplace of certified coins, and the idea behind these early grading companies at NGC and PCGS was that there would be a sight unseen marketplace to trade, and this would bring in a lot of investors, and so the blue sheet was created on that line. Today, the blue sheet represents almost really a different kind of a number. It represents more of the spread. So what we use the blue sheet for today is to represent the low end of the certified market, whereas the gray sheet and the supplement represent the high end of that certified market. So we encourage everybody to really use both, especially if you're in the series that we price in the blue sheet. For example, we price Morgan dollars, Peace dollars, Walking Liberty half dollars. These are coins that can have fairly large spreads between a low-end coin for the grade in the same holder versus a high-end coin for the grade. So you're playing with fire if you're trying to buy in Morgan dollars and you're not using both of these sheets. What else can we say? So the green sheet is our other publication. The green sheet covers the currency market. It's the only publication really to date that covers the general currency market. Patrick and I took over pricing about 2 years ago for all of these sheets, and we have almost completely repriced every single item from currency to coins in all of our sheets, because the sheets had long been antiquated and not followed the modern market trends. So we came along and really have redressed a lot of the pricing issues, and well, there'll always be some criticisms either way about how we approach that. There's no question that today the sheets represent the current market a lot more closely than they ever have. So really quickly, some background on myself. I'm a former rare coin dealer. I grew up in the rare coin business. My father was a collector, and as a little kid, I grew up in Miami, Florida. and would tag along to the Hialeah Coin Club with him in 1972 or 1973, and go to these club shows in Miami and Hollywood, Florida, every weekend for my life. And then in high school, all of which was lost on me. All I wanted to do was play video games. But I sat behind him at these tables that you have, same tables that you see here, most weekends of my life in adolescence. And then went to college and came back from college 4 years later. And my father had been a professor at Old Dominion University, which led us to Virginia Beach. And when he didn't get tenure at Old Dominion, he became a full-time coin dealer. So he follows the track of a lot of collectors and a lot of dealers in that regard. And I joined him about a year or two after graduating school, and I was sort of the marketing guy in the rare coin business. And we quickly built a website back in 1995, which happened right after I graduated, and so I took on this whole website side while he was really the numismatist, I thought, in the operation. And then unfortunately he was diagnosed with ALS in 1996. Excuse me. And so I had to take over the business completely in 1996. So I was an accidental coin dealer at that point, because I really had never thought of myself as being a coin dealer, and I took over and spent the next 15 years building David Lawrence Rare Coins into about a $30 million a year business, and completely burned out on the idea of buying and selling coins all day long, because I never really loved it, to be honest with you. That wasn't my thing. I really enjoyed publishing. We published a lot of books back in those days. DLRC Press. We published a complete guide to 12 or 15 different coin series, including the Barber series. So when I retired about 2 years ago from David Lawrence, and handed off to John Brush, who's now the president of that company. And in my retirement, quicker than I expected, I was called because Shane Downey, who is the publisher of CDN, was taken ill, and the family decided to sell. So they called me and said, if you're retired from the coin business and you can be objective in pricing and not have anything to do on both sides of the fence, then you'll be perfect for this. And my mother is in the newspaper business for 35 years, so it was a perfect thing for me to take over. And I've actually just really loved what I'm doing now. So I love pricing coins. We were always frustrated at David Lawrence, and everybody, if you ask at the coin show who's been in this business for decades, we were always frustrated with the Greysheets. They really never listened to us. We'd call, they wouldn't respond. They wouldn't even take your call. We're the opposite today. Today, we want you to call. We want you to email more than call, but we want to interact with the coin dealers and collectors, and we want to hear, because it's a very dynamic world everywhere, and the coin business is no different. And like I said, the better we can do at pricing, the better we think this market will do. And and we're getting generally we're getting compliments for how we're doing. It's been severe of the changes we're making, and we're making changes every single month. Just in the last week, we added the new monthly supplement. We added AU58 pricing for 3-cent nickels, shield nickels, and V nickels. AU58, MS66, and MS67. We've added these kinds of grade layers across the board in almost every series we represent, and we're going to continue to do so, and we're going to try and get through the entire catalog, because we've historically not priced modern series, for example, things like that. We added Silver Eagle pricing and Blue Sheet recently. Not a lot of people know that. So we've been working hard, and we have a lot of great ideas coming in terms of things we're going to do. One of the next big things we're going to announce and roll out in the next few weeks actually is pricing, Greysheet pricing on our website. So for years, of course, it's mind-boggling to think that you wouldn't be able to just log into the Greysheet.com website and see the pricing that you have on your newsletter. It's taken us almost 2 years since we took over to sift through the data, get it presentable, and put it on the web for subscribers to see. So that's coming, and just behind that will be an app for your smartphone, where you'll be able to see the same kind of data. So when you're walking around here at the coin show, instead of carrying this book of sheets, which is time consuming, and unfortunately not everything's organized efficiently. Now you'll be able to type in 1881S Morgan, $1, and you'll see all the pricing of that 81S. You'll see auction results for the last 5 years. You'll see, you can see a price graph of how those prices have performed over the last 25 years. So we're adding all of this to the website and to this phone app coming soon. And I'm sorry, just give me one more minute. I'll take questions. And the other big announcement that I wanted to make to the collector community is we've recently rolled out something called the Collector's Price Guide. So the Collector's Price Guide, we refer to it as the CPG, for better or for worse. We call it the CPG, and the Collector's Price Guide is really kind of a retail number that represents a profit margin for dealers over the Greysheet wholesale values. So for years, the Greysheet would publish an ask value, and the ask value was never anything more than 10% more than the bid value. So when we took over, we had two problems with that. One is that it's an arbitrary number to just decide that every dealer should make 10%, or why should anybody say what they're asking for? And it didn't really make sense to take up the publishing space. That's why we're able to add more pricing columns, is we eliminated the ask column, and the CPG is now published separately and actually not published by us in print at all. We are putting the CPG value on our website. We're making it available to coin dealers and auction companies for free, so they can publish whatever coin they're listing on their website can be published with the CPG value of that item. And then most recently, we have a nice arrangement with the ANA, where we are publishing the CPG grids in line for free for any member of the ANA. We'll see, it depends on the issue how it cycles through pricing, and that just launched in June. So the first issue of the Numismatist in June that came out last week, I think, had the half cents through Indian cents, everything that was non-silver. So the July issue is going to have all the silver coinage, and then we're going to have the gold coinage following that in the Numismatist annual cycle. And just a quick word as to why we would do that is and it's a non-revenue source for either organization. We didn't charge the ANA, and they're not paying us. What we want to do is support this organization. So just like the Raleigh Coin Club is a great organization, and it's important. The most important thing here is keeping up the collector base, and the ANA is struggling like a lot of collector organizations, and we want, it occurs to all of us that the numismatist would be more valuable if it had pricing in it. It would be more useful to collectors. So why not let them have it? Helps us with name brand recognition is all we want to get out of it. And and if you're not a member of the ANA, I'd like to just plug in and say, please do join. It's worthy of everyone to join this organization, because the organization needs your help. So that's my introduction, and this is my first kind of presentation along this line. So please, if you have any questions, I would love to answer them and hear what you have to say.
The first change you talked about, putting the information online, how is that going to be different for those of us who subscribe online?
Okay, so Brian asked how pricing online will be different from what's published in print.
No, because some of us just put the sheets online.
Correct. Okay, so online, what you're getting today is a PDF, a downloadable PDF document that you can download in print. What we're talking about doing, and that's great, and the problem is if you're on a small phone, you can't see that very well. You're pinching and zooming. That's problematic. What we're going to offer online will show well on your phone, depending on the size of your screen, will allow you to drill into specific areas. So if you get into 1921S Walking Liberty half dollar, you will be able to drill into that coin. You will be able to see auction prices realized. Of course, we can't publish that in line. So you'll be able to see the last 5 years of auction data that's given to us. And you'll be able to see a performance chart. Not the kind of thing you need when you're walking around a coin show, probably. But this information is extremely valuable. The auction data is, of course, if you're spending thousands of dollars on coins, you really want to know what's going on. We can only, and I'll talk, I guess, more about how we get to pricing, but we can only represent coins with a single value. That's really just kind of like, I don't know what a good metaphor is, but that's almost impossible to pin down on any coin, especially coins that trade frequently in high relief $20 gold pieces, for example. 5-figure coin, trades all the time. How do I give it one number when if the last 20 auction records are all in a $5,000 range? I'm just going to say $20,000 because that's where I think it hits. But when you're a buyer, you have to decide whether you like this coin. Do you feel it's worth the 21.5 that the guy is asking for it, or do you want to try and get it for 19 and you won't pay 20? Whatever your number is, every bit of information can only help you in this regard. So the online app will offer more things like that. The PDF is really a rudimentary, old school way that the legacy company had created to deliver this document. It's problematic for us at CDN because people steal it. Plain and simple, guys in clubs, I've had club guys admit to me that they're giving it to everybody in the coin club, and we can't stay in business if people are stealing our pricing. People will argue that we charge a lot for our publication. We charge about $240 a year to get all the Greysheet. But if you consider the fact that there's 52 Greysheets a year, there's 36. Well, there's another 12 monthly supplements and another 12 quarterlies. We're not making a lot of money on this product, and we're putting full-time employees, customer service, everything you can imagine. This is not a high-margin business. It only works like the A&A if we have enough people supporting it. And there's an awful lot of people who think that when they download that PDF, it's free. That, oh, it's no problem to give it away. But it's no different than stealing this laptop computer. It's property. And if you give away my property and you give it to a bunch of other people who aren't investing in that, you're hurting yourself too. And we can talk about the kinds of complaints I receive on a regular basis, and a lot of the complaints are that we shouldn't sell our publications to collectors. I would fight all day long for collectors and tell dealers that they need to learn how to talk to their customers about how it's important that they make really a reasonable markup at this growth, 10%. It's okay as long as we're on the same playing field. It's fair, but we can't have people going around and giving away the pricing to everybody. If you don't want to invest the $200 a year in the subscription, then you really don't deserve to get it, and you're just harming the entire industry by giving it away. I hope I answered your question. Sorry. Does anybody else have any questions I can answer?
What are you seeing as being the subscription price for the online?
So the online subscription is going to be free for anybody who's a printed subscriber. So if you subscribe to the blue sheet, you'll see the blue sheet. If you subscribe to the gray sheet, you'll see the gray sheet, green sheet, etc. It's free, a free edition. We're comfortable at the levels we are charging today. We made a big price jump when we took over, but that's only because it wasn't possible to sustain a profit in legacy levels. We're looking for lots of ways to add value to this membership. The phone application might become a monthly fee in addition to that original. We have to come up with a pricing scheme. What we really want to do is make sure it's really good first. So it'll be free for our subscribers until we determine otherwise. And by the way, the CPG value, this retail value, is listed on the website today even, and it's free. No, you don't even have to log in to see it. So you can go straight and look up bar recorders. You want to see the whole grid of bar recorders in retail, you can see it today and get an idea of where you think your number should be. So, thank you. Can I answer any questions for anybody? No. Thank you, David. The sample pack? No, it exists. It's part of the Works pack. So Dave is asking about the sample package. We use a different terminology, but it's really like a 7-pack of one of each of our publications. Actually, would be 8 now with the blue sheet, with the gold sheet. But the sample package includes one of each of all the most recent sheets, and it's part of our quote-unquote Works package, which if somebody subscribes to the Works, that means they get every sheet as they come out in the mail. So if you go to that page on the website, you could order in a single, just like ordering a single gray sheet, you order a single edition, and then I think you get a binder with it, and so on. But, thank you. Any other questions? Dave is asking if there's a need for pricing of U.S. mint metals versus coins, and the answer to that question is the first time I've been asked. So to that point, I haven't been. We respond at CDN to what we get asked about. So if we get asked by 4 or 5 different people, we'll say there's a need for that. That, because 5 people means probably 500 or something that aren't asking, and so we consider that real. As soon as the market seems real, we'll price it. If we can find reliable pricing. But that's exactly how the gold sheet came out. The gold sheet prices. Many of you may not have seen this, but this is the first new creation from CDN since about 1989, and it's called the gold sheet. It prices modern Chinese coins basically on the demand that this is an emerging market. It's actually tremendously robust in Asia, and it's worth paying attention to. Even though many collectors here don't collect modern coins, or they do, but if you don't collect modern coins, you might overlook this very quickly, but the modern Chinese market is incredibly strong, and the number of buyers over there is huge. And when we're trying to look around this industry and determine how we can grow, survive, and really pay attention, this is a market that we think is worth your time, which is why we published the sheet. And I can tell you that for example, advertisers were clamoring to be in this publication. The Asian coin dealers are dying to get an idea of what we are like over here. We were in Hong Kong 2 months ago, Patrick and I, to our first coin show in Hong Kong, and it's no different than this coin show, except there's a lot more people. The aisles are packed. If you go to our Facebook page, we posted some pictures. Everybody's doing business, cash everywhere, buying, selling, and there's World Bank notes, modern Chinese, really all these countries, Singapore, Thailand, all of them are issuing new issues, and their customers are very interested. It's really like something out of the United States in the 70s and 80s in terms of interest, and it's highly collectible. So what happens is those dealers are thinking, we don't understand the American market. What is that? You're alien to us, and of course American dealers are thinking the Asian market's alien from our perspective to them. And so the gold sheet is our attempt to bring these two together and get these two markets to communicate. And I think it's going to be very well received.
Can you subscribe to the online edition early and not get the paper?
Bob is asking if you can subscribe only to this new online pricing that we've mentioned, and the answer to that is today, no. That's because we haven't officially launched it yet, but with the app that I'm talking about, that will bring about the same kind of subscription level. So in other words, if you subscribe to the app, which maybe would be something like $10 a month to get access to the app, then we will give you access to that same data on the website. Good question.
But you can get your Greysheets online instead of paper.
Right. You can subscribe to a Greysheet online only versus print. But that's, I think, different than you're asking. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? So that's a question we have heard all the time, and David is asking, with our aging collector base, could we go to larger print? And the answer to that is, we're as large as we can make it, and we have gone, I think, if you compare the publications from 2 years ago to today, it's much larger. That's a relative term. We went from 4 points to 5.5 points. No one in their right mind would publish in 5.5, but that's the only way we can get all these grid layouts and so on. And the only way to make the print larger would be to go horizontally on the page, which would be many more pages and postage rates, and then the subscriptions wouldn't be $250 a year, they'd be $500 a year. Nobody wants that. That's why we're putting our investment into the online, because that's the way we can do it. The problem is we want to add AU58 columns, 8G columns, anything that we can add. The problem is we can't fit it. We price today MS-67, barber dimes, quarters, and half dollars, and very few people would know that because it's only available digitally. So some dealers have this digital package, which is very expensive for dealers to use in their software, but It's now available for free in the retail side on the site that I told you about, and it will be available, with the launch. So all of these new prices that we can't fit in print, and we're not going to shrink the type to make that happen, but we have done what we could in terms of that.
Do you plan to, I know GSAs are blue sheets or hard packs. Anything in the works on soft packs?
Nothing at the moment. Brian was asking about blue sheet for soft pack, or pricing for soft pack Morton's GSAs. Good question. Yeah. How current, the question is, how current is pricing on the Greysheet of the publications? So that's a good question, and it's not answerable across the board. It's as current as we can make it, and what I'm telling you is that we're not a huge company, we're not a huge staff. We keep the number of us editors is small because it's an art form, and I don't want to disseminate responsibility of pricing to a lot of people, because then we won't have consistency. So what happens then is, every week, of course, we price Morgan dollars, Peace dollars, and all the Eagles that you see in the weekly Greysheet. Those prices are updated very frequently, and we'll take a hard look at Morgan's maybe on a 2 to 3 week basis and things like that. And the monthly supplement we try to review with every issue. Sometimes there'll be a series or two that we just don't get to every month, and we'll follow it up the following month. But we try to get to, in the quarterly issues, same story, which is that we, when those quarterlies come up every 3 months, whatever that series is, we go through with a fine-tooth comb and we price it. So it's as timely as we can make it, and I would argue that it's more timely than anything else on the market that I see. And getting back to this whole CPG conversation that I failed to mention is another reason we wanted to launch this retail price guide was that there's a disconnect in the marketplace between Greysheet wholesale bids and what you see if you're reading Coin World values, BCGS's price guide, NGC's price guide, so on. There's a disconnect. If we go from $1,000 to $900 because the market has dropped, there's nothing to say that these other pricing guides have done the same. In fact, we have no idea. We don't even know if anybody's watching or not, and nobody communicates with us at these other price companies, so we don't have any way of knowing. And we were hearing we hear a lot of complaints from people, frankly, who say, your prices are wrong, and we think that Coins Magazine is better. Well, I can't fathom that personally, but either way, if prices go up, the dealers who are buying coins at these levels, they need to be able to show people, a guide that moved up as well or down. So we don't want anyone to get hurt in this market. And we feel like the best way to do that was not to lobby these other companies to change prices, but was to just take matters into our own hand. And that's what we're doing. So we've now published it, and so whenever it changes on the Greysheet, it automatically changes in the CPG. How do we price coins in general? In general. So that was a very good. Bob wants to know how we price coins, and I guess that's the $64 million question. And the answer is we price the coins the same way I did, in the same kind of philosophy I did when I bought coins as a coin dealer, which is to say that I try to use all the tools that I can and then add to that all the knowledge that we have of the market. So for example, we have auction records. If we're talking about expensive coins, we have auction records. So we can look at Heritage's database, the Stacks Powers, Legend Numismatics, and so on, and see in the market what coins are selling for, whether we think those coins are representative of the grade. And that takes a lot of knowledge, because just looking at the price doesn't tell you the whole picture. Sometimes a coin is amazing. We also, most of us in this room know that a coin in a first generation PCGS holder will always bring some kind of premium value. People just go crazy for the old Rattler holder. But that price should not affect the general price in the Greysheet. If we see something go for 50% over Greysheet and it's in a Rattler holder, we know to ignore that. So we ignore that. But you can't do machine learning on things like that. So it has to be done by hand. And so what we do is we sift through all the prices of any given series. Let's say Barber Quarters is a series I'm looking at. Series I'm very familiar with, incredibly familiar with Barber Quarters. So if I see 1897 S Barber Quarter and MS63 sell for 10% overbid, and it looks, and I examine it, it looks like a representative coin. It doesn't look incredible, and I look at the last 3 sales that I've seen in the market of that coin, and they're all sort of kind of higher than the bid. Then I will choose to raise the level to match that number. That's how I'll look at it. If I know from the market that Barber Quarters in general are very soft, I will see that the market is weak, and I will generally err toward the side of bringing down the market. I minused Barber half dollars for 3 straight months recently. I think January, February, March. I hated myself for doing that. Every time another collection of Barber halves came on the market in high grade, they were selling for less money than they were selling for 2 months earlier, and I had to minus them. I didn't want to do that, but we don't want to lag the market either. We also, we've had a lot of people who say you shouldn't be so quick to lower a market. You should stair step the pricing down. If a coin is listed at 5,000 and one sells an auction for 4,000, it's a nice coin. Make it 4,500. Well, who's going to benefit by paying 4,500 for a coin that already traded for 4,000? Nobody benefits there, right? And then the next one sells for 3,500. Now where am I at? Now I'm misrepresenting value. So the critical aspect that we take is, that I don't think anybody else takes in the market, is that we try to mark to market. That's the way I see it. When the market's moving down or up, we mark to market, and we can talk about other ways that we gather data. We gather data from dealer buy lists. We talk to dealers who will say, we're paying $22 for Morgans and XF today, and you're at $21.50. So we'll listen to the market. I have a lot of dealers call me, tell me what's going on in the market in their sector, and we rely on them to help us. And we're just really have our ears to the ground on all these things. And then we also have digital exchanges like CCE and CDN Exchange. It's an online exchange where, for the most part, if somebody says, listen, you have 3-legged buffalo nickels in MS63 listed at 2,700, they should be 2,800. My answer to them is post a bid for 2,800. I don't want to hear it. Put it on the market. Tell the world you're paying 2,800. This is not an exclusive club. Somebody wants to pay $100 a month and join CDN Exchange. They can see the bid. They can sell you the coin. That's how we move the market up. And we don't want to see. And the market pulls down when we see things lower. Market has been trending down. I would say 60% of the market has been trending down this year. And there's been times of plateau. And so it just depends on when we're talking about, but certain sectors of the market are also doing well. So you have to be careful. But this is what we're watching all the time.
You mentioned the CDN exchange. How can a small-time dealer use and benefit from participating in that?
How can a small-time dealer use and benefit from participating on CDN Exchange? Well, CDN Exchange is the most democratic exchange we can create. We charge $100 a month to be a member of this exchange. It's free for the first month for anybody willing to make this investment and be a part of it. It might sound like a lot of money, but I think that's a small fee for someone who wants to make a living in coins. And all you have to do is be reliable, and you have a couple legitimate references in the coin business, and we want you on, and then you can participate. And we have messages going back and forth with people with fresh collections coming in their store or things like that, and they're offering them. If you get on there and say, listen, I have a customer looking for walking liberty halves in high grade, and who's got something to offer me, you can post that message and you can participate. So at $100 a month, it's about a third of what CCE charges, and I think it's a fantastic deal. And like I said, we offer it for free just to try it. So we have about 220 current members. The question was about CDN Exchange. 220 members. 220 members. Any questions? Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And I hope I answered any thoughts you had and concerns. I brought some things to hand out. You can have We brought samples of recent sheets. There's blue sheets, gray sheets, quarterlies, anything. Please take them and spread the good word about us. We hope you will, and look forward to seeing you on the Boards Club.
On behalf of the club, thank you very much. We have a certificate. Unfortunately, your name is not on it.
We'll give it to Patrick.
And we have a little paperweight. Unfortunately, your name's not on that either.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a good talk. Appreciate it.
Great talk.